Welcome to the Heartwork Podcast, where we delve into stories, struggles, and triumphs of entrepreneurship, leadership, and personal growth. I'm Dr. Sarah.
And I'm Dr. Marisa. We're here to guide practitioners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and those just navigating the complexities of life on a journey of discovery that explores the dance between passion and strategy, heart and hustle.
With candid conversations, insightful interviews, and plenty of laughs, get ready to uncover how leading with heart can transform your business and life. Let's dive in.
Hello, you rich, beautiful, healthy, abundant, manifesting, fabulous audience. We are coming into the fold today to talk to you all about leveling up your team, calling up your team, not calling out your team, but calling them up through their own limiting beliefs and mostly money mindset. We are all incredibly wealthy in our lives, regardless of the amount of dollars that is in the bank account. There are so many things in our lives that we can be grateful for, that we can see the beauty and the gifts of life in abundance, even when it feels like we are in complete and utter lack. At the end of the day, having a mindset, exploring your heart, is all going to come down to choice and intention and purpose. And so, regardless of what evidence may be around you, that very well can be true. There's a lot of people that can go through really tough times. The world right now is dealing with a lot of this heaviness. How do we work with what we may be experiencing while also recognizing that we can only experience what we experience and interpret it in one way because of experiencing and knowing what it is in the opposite way? Like, there's just the yin and yang always. And so when there's ups and downs in what we may perceive to be a healthy financial place or an abundant financial place, this is really, really tricky to navigate, especially when you're in a business and there is a monetary exchange of value for the service and the gifts that you provide. But perspective really is everything with this. And if you have built up a team to help you in your business, sometimes you as the owner aren't going to always be the one that talks about financial obligations for your service in the office or in the business. And when our teams can come to the table with their money mindset and limiting beliefs, potentially, when you may come to the table with your own money mindset and limiting beliefs, or what I would call probably the lowest vibration, like trifecta, is when like you have money mindset beliefs, but you think that you don't, and you're trying to coach your team through their own limiting mindset because you think that it's your team that has a limiting mindset, but in fact, they're just playing off of your actual energy, and your lack energy is actually influencing them because you just consistently and only talk about money and improving money mindset. And it's like, we're good. We're so bought in. Like, we get the value, and it's actually a you problem, not a them problem. We just wanted to touch base and do a quick episode on all things about helping to call up your team and call up yourself when you are in a season of feeling either slowness when it comes to financials, maybe your business is in the red, maybe personal life, we are not in a place that we want to be, to have as much stability, security, feeling of like relaxation and breathing through the rhythms of that experience. And so both Dr. Sarah and I have individually, as well as a collective with our team, done some money mindset training and work. This has truly been inspired by our mentor, Dr. Steph Wigner at the Wealthy Practitioners. She has helped also open our eyes to like business and sustainability. And with that, we have done things to continue to help our business be healthy and flourish in that manner, because we both have incredibly healthy and thriving practices when it comes to relational space, providing wonderful services and experiences. But there's a value and a cost exchange to that. And so anytime in your business that You may be raising prices, inflation, you may be hearing financial objections more based off of what people are going through, or may even be hearing that from your team, or you may be feeling the weight of that yourself. We wanted to give you a couple ways to continue to harness those conversations around the topic that can be very triggering to some, but can also be very exciting for others. And there may be different people on your team that are all wanting this, but are experiencing their own levels and starting points when it comes to finances, budget, etc. Because this isn't really stuff that we're ever taught in school. I don't know about when you went to school. I don't really even hear it from kids that are graduating now, or even our like grad school colleagues. Nobody talks about money. We talk about like budget, and you talk about loans in the sense of, your five or now, back then they talked about like a $3 coffee. Now it's like an $8 coffee. When you buy that on loan and on borrowed money or on credit, like what is it going to actually cost you later with interest? But then there's no practical tips of like, what are you budgeting for? Like, what are things that you can invest in? How do you break through the barrier of ceiling? Do we have inherited feelings about money that come from our environments, the people that we've spent the most time around? Like all of these things, we're not really, necessarily given a lot of financial literacy growing up unless we have other financial literate people around us, or we really go to pursue outside education and information about that. So, Sarah, what do you hear from people and or team and or your own inner voice that kind of brings you to the point of like, this might be an area that we need to explore?
So for me specifically, my own like limiting mindset is like, if I'm looking at my bank all the time, it's like I'm looking at it and I'm seeing money come in, but it's always this like, it's not enough, like type of a thing. Like I'm having all this like beautiful abundance come through, but at the same time, it's just like, it still is a lack, very much a lack mindset.
Mm.
And also for me, for me specifically, if it all doesn't come through, I'm like an all or nothing type person. It's like, oh, well, then it's crap. It's all going to fall apart. Like it's pretty much like if I don't have this certain amount of thing and it doesn't come, then I expect that it's just everything is going to crumble. So that was my own journey that I had to navigate to really like clear up my space. So I had beautiful money mindset. One of the things that I've noticed with my team, when I hear them talk, like one of my team members, she has brilliantly worked through this, which is so amazing. But in the beginning, she would always basically say, I'm broke. I have no money for this. Like, I'm living on a budget, which is a beautiful thing. Living on a budget can also be a healthy thing, right? But the way that she was communicating it was like, I have nothing in my life and it's all like miserable. And in a lot of like people, like one of my team members loves to say the thing, more money, more problems. So like, don't give me more money. Like it's kind of that like little thing that she would kind of say. And it's like, okay, we need to reframe some of this because for the sake, not only for the benefit of this practice, but it's only going to be healthy for you to be able to navigate some of this. And one of the other aspect that I just really know to be true because of what you and I especially sell in our practice, like we're selling transformation, right? But it still is a high value sell, especially if you're raising prices or if you're communicating to somebody and selling a package, especially if you tell your team and you're training your team to be able to sell this transformation, but it is more money than they potentially think that they could afford because they may not value it. That is a roadblock. And that is a position that they're going to be put into to sell something that may also then literally energetically, it's not going to be returned. So a lot of times we saw when we were training our team, if somebody really had a block, they would not be selling and converting those care plans. And so that was really important for us to really train on and also to help them get out of their own way. Is like at the end of the day, like I trust you to do this. And this is not your responsibility for that individual, for you to know what that individual's bank account is. They may be rolling up in the like fanciest of car, but yet at the same time be broke as F because you don't know what the hell they're doing at home, right? So you can't put judgment out there for what somebody's doing. I've also had truly the most like, they come in, they look so scraggly. They're like, They just don't look like they're made of money, but yet they pay in full for care and it's no big deal. So you can't put your judgment on from what you are experiencing onto somebody else. But typically if you are, you're going to get that in return. Like that's something that we've really gotten from our coach is like if you're putting that energy out, you're going to receive that same type of energy. So I know you did this. You did this before I did. You did a beautiful like money mindset coach like this time last year. Where you really invited your team into working through that money mindset. I will work through mine, but if you want to share first, since you did it first, of like, what were some of the things that you practically brought them through then too, to help them really get curious about some of the questions, but also be playful with it and to start to like engage how that this doesn't have to be so scary. I feel like money to a certain degree, and I know it's for me, it's like it can also feel so daunting and so scary. And it's like, how do I handle money if it's going to come through? If you also don't know how to steward your money, like, why would you be given more? So it's like there is a practical aspect. It's like you need to know what to do with your money and also be able to navigate that on an individual level so that you can sell it for the team, for the practice that you're part of, the team that you're part of, and all that as well.
So it's funny that you mentioned that I did that last year because I just recently did another one this year. So I'm gonna have to tell this story and like and take it from beginning to end because last year when I did this, I had a fairly ish new team. Like I had a couple new team members that just had joined the fold. I actually had a practice member that turned into a team member as well, who was like handling and helping with our social media. So I I think this is a little bit of my personality too. So like you have to find your rhythm for like who you authentically are. But for me, like I'm very fun. Like I really do like to be playful. If I'm stressed out and in my lack mindset, then I tend to get quite serious. And so I went to Target and I bought one of those like bachelorette like money guns. I actually bought like 7 different like abundance journals. So like either financially prompting journals, budget journals, gratitude journals, like where I'm going in life journals. And then I got a bunch of pens that had diamonds on the top of it. I got other like green pens and I got the little like gold coin candies. And I rented out this little space in a local coffee shop and I went in there before everyone got there and I put all these like fake $100 bills on the table. I put out all the little coins and I actually snuck in a real $100 bill amidst all the fake ones. And then I put all the books and all the pens out and when my team came in, it was like so fun. And I was like, "Welcome to your new abundance and your new perspective on life and your new era of rich girl, rich guy mentality." Because truly, again, I really think it's a way that you embody in the same way that you talk about your team having certain, like your one team member having that lack mindset, or even you struggling with it. And I do it too. It's like, yes, we may have a finite currently amount of finance coming our way, but it doesn't mean that money also doesn't flow. Like that woman, that individual is still getting a paycheck at the end of each day. That individual still has enough capacity to create a budget that suits them in this time. Like that is really great. Like you have capacity for that. And I also, this is a little bit of my hustler mentality, and this isn't always the healthiest, but like if I need to go get more, like I'm going to go get more. Like just stuff can fly off and just show up out of nowhere sometimes. But what I did is I picked out all these different places, whether it be a book, whether it be a recording of a coach that we have, whether it be a really cool podcast that I listen to, whether it be something that I've read before. And I created like a personal note on my cell phone and literally cultivated this like 3-hour journey. And in some of those podcasts, in some of those books, in some of the video recordings, questions would be asked. And I would literally stop the recording or stop the podcast or stop reading that portion of the book. And I would turn to my team and I'd be like, what's triggering? What is the invitation of that with you? And I would have them say it because sometimes like just saying stuff out loud makes it also not scary. So we would share about some of those things. And I got vulnerable too and shared about that. Because sometimes you look at the business owner and you're like, well, you're in the business and you do this. And it's like they don't always see the back end of overhead, of like managing all of the payroll, of constantly thinking about your bank account and like, am I going to be good next time? And so you're working through your own stuff with that too. And then I also like it's all about dreaming up what life can look like as well. Sometimes we're so stuck in what life actually is right now that we cannot see 5 feet in front of us, 20 feet in front of us, a year in front of us. But just because we can't see what that year looks like on a practical sense doesn't mean that we can't dream about what our ideal would look like. And so that kind of perfect day, perfect experience prompt is really helpful in helping people dream up what actually feels good to them, because that's really what money is, what living gratefully is. It's an energy embodiment. And all those things are energy. And feeling lack or feeling in gratitude with so much is an energetic decision of how you show up. And so that's kind of how I introduced my team with it last year. But this year, there's been a little bit more just going on in our team's lives. And so I chose to do another one because we had also raised prices recently over the last kind of 4 or 5 months and slowly integrated that in. And I'm with a team that is a little bit more established with me. They've been with me for a little bit longer. They know me a little bit better. And we have built trust and a little bit more rapport with each other. So I let my silliness come out a little bit more. So what I first actually had them do, which was really beautiful because the money mindset stuff of this kind of season came a little bit more in alignment too with some just like personal life things for some of my team, and just a couple team members going through a little bit more of like identity things with it as well. We're coming off of our Heart Work conference a couple months ago. Obviously, this work has become more vocal, more passionate for both Sarah and I on even a broader scale. We talk about this a lot on our own podcast. I have team members that listen too. Like it's been just wonderful. But I actually had them lay on the floor and go face up and close their eyes. And I did read a couple passages from like the money mindset, little money Bible. I read a couple passages from some other books I had, psychology of money, other things that was really more about energetically how we can show up and how money and that flow of money is just energy. And did a little bit more of like some heart identity stuff first, warmed them up. I just played some nice like yoga music in the background and just kind of like had it be a quiet, like inner respective moment. And then once I finished with that, I quickly switched the song to some ratchet ass, like money rap song. And then I pulled out my gun. I was shooting out all of the fake $100 bills. They was pouring all over the place. The team was like opening their eyes, like, what just happened? Where's our doctor? And then they saw me. I was like, get those dollar bills from the ground. And I picked up the hundreds and I was like, rub that stuff all over your body. And I was like rubbing the hundreds on my face. I was rubbing it through my butt. I was rubbing it in my body. Like I was just rubbing it all over. And I invited them to rub it and we were dancing and I was like getting my booty going and it was so fun and so silly and so crazy. But I wanted to, in a way, also a little bit trigger. Like I want to poke that bear a bit. Is this making you uncomfortable right now? Because you can only show up to this training and get from it, like if you're actually ready to receive it. And sometimes in order to open you up, I got to know what makes you feel funky and icky about something to really understand where does that conversation need to go. So like you need to understand what's going on with your team. Does your team think that money is bad and like people that have money are like the root of all evil? Does your team think that people that have a lot of money can do good with that money? And the more money that we get, the more good we can do, whether it be for team raises, whether it be for community events, whether it be blessing a family with free care because we have extra funds in the bank. Like, what does that look like? Is it about a spouse? Is it about what they're not experiencing in their life? Are they going through some kind of a hardship right now? Like, you got to understand where some of the trigger in the money mindset is coming from, um, to really understand how to break and start to crack that open. It's not your job or responsibility to solve all of their belief systems around it, but you can invite them into spaces to start to expose what that is. But again, I would just encourage you, maybe choose like what I did the first time if you don't have as much rapport and trust with your team to also be invited into that space because what I did the second time, again, I know my team a little bit more, and we've gone through some of these conversations in the past, so I can be a little bit more like, I don't wanna say in their face with it, but I can be a little bit more inviting into some deeper, darker places that perhaps they haven't quite seen or experienced for themselves, but I can start to see it happening within them. And we watched a couple videos, we went through some new trainings, and I would just, anytime there was a prompt or there was a really good moment where I was like, this is something I want them to sit with and take away, like, I would stop what I was doing or stop any kind of listening, and we would talk about it. And so build in space and time if you're going to do like a money mindset or abundance training to have conversation, because also it can be very emotional with it as well. And I've had team just even go through like simple stuff. Like sometimes it's just like, I've been wanting to put an extra $100 towards this payment per month that I've been working on this debt, but I just like can't do it because feels so unsafe to take it from this one account and put it into another account, right? Then I've had team that's like, I have a credit card that I've been wanting to pay off and I have the finances to do it, but I just need to actually do it. And for some reason, it just feels so icky, but like it continues to accrue interest and all of that. You have a team that is, just going through designing what they want from their life while also trying to navigate and understand how their family has trained and worked with that for years and years. So like sometimes again, it's not just the person in front of you, but it's all of the people that they have been influenced by over the years that you're breaking through some of that with. And so again, people can talk to you about it. You can invite your team to contribute. And if they do, that's a beautiful thing. If they don't, that's also showing you something, right? And the space that you're cultivating and creating for them to be able to have that feeling of safety to share or that lack of shame around getting vulnerable with it. And so, again, I always bring it back to starting with yourself. If you feel like your team isn't sharing, start sharing from your own heart. Because again, if they see that the person that they look up to or that is their boss that also experiences it where they're at, you know, we all have our own level of stuff in different stages of life. So it's really about just creating an opportunity and a community to be able to work through some of that together. And so being invited, if your team does give you an example of a problem, also being in a humble space to say, can I share something that I would do in this if I was experiencing that? Because again, sometimes it's like, hey, let's just take the example of the $100 towards like a debt, for example. Um, hey, can I share what I would do if I was experiencing this right now? And I say, sure. You can go, okay. Whenever I feel unsafe about whether or not I'd be okay without that extra $100 going somewhere, it doesn't cost you anything to open up another like small checking account. So why not for 3 months, you take $100 extra from your actual account, you transfer that to this second checking account. And in 3 months, if you're really still feeling unsafe about it, then you let it be and we wait to test it in another period of time. But typically, most likely, it's going to feel fine and it's going to feel way safer because you're going to see it leave that account, but you recognize it's still there in the other. Then just start the direct transfer into the debt payment because you've already been taking it out of the account. So, it's already gone. You're not even utilizing it for anything. It's sitting somewhere else. It's not going to groceries, it's not going to gas, it's not going to fun time with your family. Send it off to the debt then and let that feel good. And so, again, you can always bring practical into it, but that does come with you having explored your own to then have the wherewithal to help someone else be invited in to see that perspective as well. Because changing perspective is hard, and you don't also want to try and force your team into a change that they are not ready for. Um, but you can invite them into seeing things in a new lens, and that slowly, like a beautiful little seed, starting to grow and give them evidence and just make them more aware and observant. I've had team members that are like, no, money does not flow. Money is stopped. Money is finite. I don't have any. I'm it. And then come back to me and are like, yeah, I found $300 worth of gift cards that I totally forgot about. And it's like, money flows. They're like, if we didn't have the conversation, I would have never thought or put two to two together that energetically this just showed up, and what a gift that is.
I think that's the point of like you said, like you can't force somebody to change their perspective, but you can invite them into a different scenery in a different light and a different picture. But yeah, so I just want to quickly share what I did. Very similar to Marisa, but I noticed this with my team. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to provide an opportunity to give them a different perspective and invite them into some of the stuff that I'm starting to experience because of what our coach, as she alluded to, Stephanie Wigner, to really be able to invite me to have a different perspective. And so same, I actually rented a loft downtown in Knoxville, and this was actually really cool because it also just goes to show when you put yourself out there energetically, things literally are gonna move in a direction sometimes you don't even really realize or understand, and I rented this loft, and come the day before I was supposed to go to this loft, they actually came to me in a message of like, "Hey, we actually have some maintenance stuff in the loft that we rented. Would you be down for switching to this other loft that it was humongous, um, that literally could have housed my whole team if we spent the night, for that night before the next night." And, it was the most, like, abundant place. It literally had this, like, speakeasy vault inside of it. It was 3 stories, like, it was the most, like, elegant, gorgeous place. It was literally like, "What in the world? How did I do this?" And it was, like, $2,000 a night. So it's like and I paid for the other loft, I didn't have to pay for anything else. So it was just, like, this beautiful, like, gift as we got to get moving into it. And I also prepped very similarly to what, like, Marisa did, where I had gotten basically like a gift for them for the day of. So with pens, I had certain affirmation cards in there. I had a journal for them. I had gotten them like organic chocolate and just some goodies that they could also come and take and then be present with. So when they walked in, this table was like set out just like beautiful and looked really lovely. I also had them come prepped, dressed as their higher self, essentially, to where I wanted them to look nice and like out of their normal wear at the same time. Cause we also did this on a Tuesday. So I think one of the coolest things too is like, so Tuesday mornings for us are a lot of times where they're team meetings. And so we just went a little earlier and then we had a team lunch after and then we went to the office. So it didn't necessarily have to be this like whole freaking day experience. It was just a shorter period of time, something that we utilize as one of our team trainings. And my husband and I got to stay in the loft on Monday night into Tuesday, which was so fun at the same place. They weren't there the whole time. So I prepped them to come in. And then one of the things I did along with like all the things is I wanted them to be able to start to see like how they speak into the world. And so we did a abundant language exercise as well. So the like, I can't afford that. I have to, I'm too busy. I don't have enough time. That's impossible. It's like that's really lack language that comes across. And so I invited them to then see opportunities to change that language. So I can't afford that. I'm choosing not to invest in that right now. I'm too busy. I prioritize what matters most. I have to, I get to. I don't have enough time. I create space for what's important, right? So there's ways to be able to reshift that for just how they're speaking. And then I literally had them move and I like had set the tone for the whole day. And we moved down to this fun speakeasy vault, which was awesome. And we watched a video from actually Steph Wigner when she did Full Send last year. Um, if anybody has not done her Full Send, I would also highly recommend it for a money mindset. That it's the easiest thing to go do. So she also has a podcast, Worthy and Wealthy. So that'd be a great just add on for you at the same time. So we went and watched this video and I only had a small little chunk. I only had them watch half an hour because I'm like, she did all these videos. We didn't have time for that. Right. But I wanted the most impactful moment to where I could start to get my team really talking. And one of the things too, like she triggered them specifically. Like some of the people were really triggered by what she was saying. And so afterwards, I prompted them to like, regardless of what's coming up, I would really want you to watch the resistance, check in with yourself if you have resistance or if you have questions or anything like that. This is a opportunity to get curious with yourself. And so as we came to the end of it, I did ask the question of like, okay, where did you tense up? What resistance did you experience? What were you inspired by? And then I wanted to know, and like we all went around and then shared. And then I was like, what is one money story that you're ready to outgrow? And a lot of people talked about their money story in their families and in their life and what their parents did and that type of stuff. And it was just a brilliant opportunity for us to all really have understanding about not only what their own individual selves experienced, but what their team was also experiencing. It brought to light a lot of that, which was really cool. And so after that, my husband and I had actually night before also had taken, I had got $500 cash, and I did a scavenger hunt. We placed dollar bills around the whole loft. Some were, I think I had like $200 bills, and then I had like four 50s, a couple 20s, and then a bunch like a little bit of 10, 5, and the most of some of it was ones, and put it all around the place. For one, I would recommend videoing where you put all of it because if you don't find we did do that thankfully, but I was like, I don't know if we have all this money collected. So um, and so that was fun. And then I literally was like, okay, money is everywhere. We know that it's playful. And this is an opportunity not to be competitive because this is not a competitive thing, but this is an opportunity to see what you do when you go to hunt for money. Can you be playful with it? Can you engage with it? What do you do? Are you looking at what the other person is getting, or are you just thankful for what you got in this moment? And so it was really neat. They all were so freaking excited, obviously. Like some people, literally one girl got $2. Some people got $50. I think the highest was like 150, the way that it all circulated out with just the team that I had there. And they weren't expecting that money that day, you know? So it's like
Mhm.
the coolest part is it wasn't something that they weren't expecting a bonus, they weren't expecting this. So it was just something that was out of the universe that they could play with. And even the girl that had $2, she had the biggest limiting mindset, like biggest limiting mindset about money. And so at the end of the day, she was the one that got $2, you know, and she didn't try. She wasn't even, she was excited, but she wasn't putting out energy to even find it. So of course you're only going to find $2, right? So that part was really neat, and then we did just an abundance, like, identity board where I brought a bunch of, like, scrapbooky stuff, like magazines and, posters, and I made them really build, like, a vision board for what is your life to you abundant and worthy and full of life and richness, and they all just built this beautiful thing, and that was actually really cool because it came out of a space of, like, us doing some work, and then they just got to, like, let their creativity just land for a second without having to stimulate a whole ton of other things. And then we went to lunch because the purpose of this for me was I was actually we were gonna raise prices at Freedom significantly. And so I wanted my team to understand why we were doing this before I told them, "Oh, just by the way, I'm raising prices and you gotta get on board." And so we went to lunch, and then at the lunch, we continued our conversation, and I had specifically called out things inside of them, the value that they bring to the practice and to who we are, so that they also knew, like, so example for Dr. Bridget, my clinical director, I was like, you are a powerhouse of knowledge and advocacy behind the scenes. You're moving mountains, or so our systems run like clockwork, making sure every patient gets care that they seem seamless and sacred. You're an expert in perinatal care. It isn't just clinical. You have a certifications of Webster and BirthFit. And like I called out all these things, and I was like, you are so freaking valuable to this practice. So I did that for every single individual. And then we went into the reality of like why this matters. And so I went into the place of like, we truly are a place of world class, heart centered, life changing work. And because of that, we are going to increase our prices. And like it just went in and like, but everybody at that point was so bought in because they were experiencing abundance in their own life. So they believed that we were going to also receive abundance within the practice. So it was just a beautiful opportunity to just take what we knew to be true and what I was starting to dance in and invite them into. And whether or not like it sustains itself because life continues to happen, that's the opportunity that you then have as a leader to continue to instill and invite them along the way like you did the second time because now you knew your people beautifully even more, and it's like, okay, we're just going to continue to reinvest in this because it's important work, you know. And so um that's the point, is like continuing to invite people into a different perspective, different invitation, and how can you continue to instill it.
I agree. And I think also the reminder that um, if you do have team that is fighting in resistance of whether they feel like they want a lot of money, they don't want a lot of money, like the reminder and the understanding, and sometimes it requires just a little prefacing that abundance in your life and positive flow can look it is so much more than just one branch of money. But it's also like, what can that money do as a tool for the life that you also want to create and live? And so knowing and reminding all of your team, we're going to talk about money, but I don't want you to associate that abundance and like richness in your life equals money. Because if you do that, then we've got bigger identity, heart work things we need to draw into. And that's going to probably be the reason why you have such a shit money mindset, is because you value yourself so much based off of the amount of dollars that is in your bank account. You have to find value within yourself before you can value the money that's coming your way, to utilize it in the way that you want to, that authentically aligns with who you are and the life you want to lead. But it's also completely okay to say, I want to be rich in my life, in my family, in my health, in my desires, and I want a shit ton of money. All of the above. So just let yourself share hairy, audacious goals. And I think too, if you are feeling like team is a little bit blocking to it, or you're like, hey, I really would love to do this with my team, and you suggest it and they're feeling a little funky with it, that would be, I believe both Sarah and my suggestion would be to start off with the dream. Start off with thinking about what life looks like, what that day is for you. What does a beautiful, magical day feel and look like? And start to tap into the senses, so that then you can start to open up, or you create a little bit more softness to be able to receive information that may feel very different to different people, but can then start the invitation and start the conversation for a shift in perspective.
So thank you for joining us on another episode of the Heartwork Podcast. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with heart in your business and life.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe so you never miss a release, rate our show, leave us a review, get on our VIP email list, and join our exclusive Facebook group, The Heartwork Life, to plug into our community and learn from us and other heart-led entrepreneurs on a weekly basis.
We look forward to chatting with you next time.
Bye!